Neil, should we start with Sam Morsey? Did you actually end up appealing against the red card in the end or not?
Yeah, we should know in the next hour about it, really. So we sent all the information that we thought was relevant to the authorities, and I think it's 11 o'clock this morning. So we should know before we start training at 12, really. I'll let Matthew know as soon as I've got an answer for you all, if you want.
Oh, great, thank you. Was it a tricky decision? Because you did say you'd have to discuss it.
No, it was there's no discussion whatsoever when we all saw it. You know, how you can get... I can't see how the referee could actually send him off from his position. I'm not sure he saw it. But Sam's been pulled back, and then he's fallen on the floor, and his head's on the floor, and his arm's in a natural position for him to fall down. So we just don't know how it's, but having said that, the commission, if they go, you know what they're like, so you just don't know, do you?
Has it affected your preparations in that, you're having to go down two avenues, one with Sam Morsey and one without?
No, because we're not training till 12 o'clock because of that. We're not leaving till 3 this afternoon, so we thought we'll get that out of the way and, we've got two teams, if that makes sense, one with Sam in and one with Sam out.
If he is out, how tricky a player, is he to replace?
No, not really. I think it gives people opportunities. I don't think we're missing Howson, but I think the lads have done really well. We've got Tav who can play different positions, and we've got one or two other lads busting a gut to get a game. So it's what will be really.
Duncan Watmore, you've started him 2 games in a row, obviously removed him in the second half. Dare you risk him 3 in a row, with obviously him coming back to full-time football?
Well, he made the goal, great running. In fact, he should have scored the goal, really. Tav should have given it him instead of giving it Marv. But that just shows you what we know. Marv crosses it and we score. But really, Duncan made a great run after the passing into Tav. So he is contributing a lot. We will be looking. Obviously, not that I do that, but I do take a bit of notice of the physios at the moment with with what they've done. I keep my eye on the likes of Duncan, but also the likes of Paddy, and Dale and Dick Steele. I've got to keep my eye on all their stats really, because they're covering some ground. They're doing some minutes, really, all of them.
What's the balance like when you look at, all the running statistics and what have you? You talk to the physios, and then you talk to the player. If there's a disagreement, where does the balance of power lie in that one?
Well, I think players usually all want to play. I think it's my job to try and, in a way that I want to win the game, it's still my job to put precaution, from certain players in certain games, really. We've only got this one, we've got a week off. So, without a doubt, a lot of the players will be looking forward to a few days without the intensity of a game. So we've got to get through this Saturday, really, and, I'll be picking my team accordingly.
And that must feel like a Christmas present in itself, doesn't it? A week without a midweek match?
Yeah, it's been great. We've been looking at Birmingham right from 3 or 4 weeks ago as the first chance to let these aching muscles recover, really.
In all your long experience of management and playing as well, have you ever experienced a run like you've had over the last 6 weeks?
No, never. I don't think anybody has. It's no good saying we have, because the run that we've had and that everybody's had is not really fair on the professional footballers. I know we used to say they can play 2 games a day, play every other game, you get paid for playing football and all that, but the intensity now of the game and what they have to step up to, we always expected muscle injuries. We've done well that we've had Dick Steele, who's touch wood again. We've had Dick Steele, who's he's not recovered totally. He's still playing within himself, but he's playing he's playing starting games for me again. Johnny's out a few weeks. Obviously, we lost Ashley with a bad one as well. We just got to get through this weekend. I think once they've had a few days rest and the Christmas period comes, we've got the FA Cup to come as well, where I can rest some players in the FA Cup. We're not going to win the FA Cup. We're going to have no fans down there, so I think that will be an opportunity to, really, that's the only time they can have days off.
And you mentioned Johnny Howson there. Are you any closer to having a definitive, timescale on him, or even a decision on what needs doing?
If I'm honest with you, I've not spoke to him for a few days. I've had that much on my mind with the games. I knew he wasn't going to be fit this weekend, so I'll probably have a chat with him today before we start. I've seen him in the gym training and everything, but I've not had a chance to speak to Chris, the physio, about the length or the doc to let me know. Because quite honestly, I just think, well, I'm missing him till Christmas at least, and just get on with the games first.
And just one quick look back at Wednesday night in Luton. Amidst everything that happened, we didn't actually mention Marcus Bettinelli, did we? Because obviously he was involved in, he'd spilled the ball when Sam Morsey concedes the penalty, but then he made a wonderful save right at the end of the game. He had the ups and downs in 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, he was distraught when he come in. He just couldn't stop apologising to Sam. He said it was all his fault, the sending off. But we win games together and lose games together, so it didn't mean anything to me. We got a great result in the end, and it's good to see him pull that save off.
Yeah, how highly do you rate him? Because clearly he's one of the first players you brought in. It might have been the first player, I think, wasn't he, over the summer?
Yeah, I mean there weren't that many goalkeepers available really. I mean I did like the lad on Saturday, Etheridge, who was playing against us on Saturday, but they paid something like 1.7 million, so I'd have had to get 10 players in for that, I think.
It's a bit of a Boro Old Boys reunion, isn't it, this weekend? I know George Friend has been struggling for fitness, for example, but do you think that adds any extra spice to the game, both in the dugout and on the pitch?
Not really. I think when you've managed a club and you go, you play the old club, it does mean a bit more to you, I think. And Archer's, I've always got on well with him, so he'll want to do well, but he'll want to do well whoever he's playing against. It's a big club, Birmingham. It's what I call a sleeping giant, really. And it's always a club, I thought, should be right up there. So he'll be trying to get them back up there. And this will just be another game. He'll be looking for 3 points, which, is what we've all got to do now, home and away.
Yeah, they've struggled at home. You've struggled on the road. Is this the opportunity? Because your home form is so good. It's underpinning this playoff push that you've got going. If you could start winning away from home, then who knows?
Well, I mean, I'd sooner win at home if I'm honest, but you've got to get points away from home if you want to be in that top group. And if we don't get points, it just puts more pressure on every home game that comes up. So it's not that we're not trying to get points. We haven't had much rub of the green away from home, I don't think, when I look back. But we've just got to get on with it. Really, we have got a small squad, and the lads who'll be available. I can't fault any of them for effort.
Just lastly, this is the final game before Christmas Day. Have you got a Christmas message for the Boro fans?
Well, I'll be writing in my programme notes for the Rotherham game, but it's been the welcome that not just myself but Kevin and Ronnie have received up here has been tremendous. I can't remember ever receiving better, sort of publicity from the fans. And it's just great, we are trying as artists to try and give them something to cheer about and to try and make 2021 a year to remember. 2020, I must admit, I'll be glad to see the back of it in that respect. But, I think 2021, if we can put a smile back on the faces, you're not be able to please everybody. I'm sure I'll be making some bad decisions in the next few weeks, but have a good Christmas. But take care, you've got to be careful, even though, I know we're still in Tier 3, still got to be responsible over the Christmas period. So that's what I would implore everybody to try and be careful again.
Okay, thanks, Neil. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Cheers, Mark. Sky, cover? He's just below you.
Hi, Neil.
Gotcha.
I was reading something yesterday about...
You surprise me every day, Cavill.
No, it was one of your an ex-player was having a go at your style of play when you were Cardiff manager last year, and Sam Allardyce wrote a long article defending you and singing your praises, and I just wondered what you made of his appointment at West Brom, and where if you see any similarities between the two of you. Are you almost the last of a kind?
I just think Sam in particular and myself, you get tainted with a certain brush and you can't get rid of that. So it does annoy you to start with, but then in the end you realise you can't get rid of it. So you have to get on with it. But I think it just shows you at the moment, and I'm not being disrespectful to Sam, but it just shows you if you've got a choice to pick a manager now at any level, Premier League level, Championship, there aren't many options, that are any good. You're really tossing a coin when you go into the foreign market. So I just think he's reliable, Sam. You know what you get, and that's why they've gone for him, I think. And likewise, myself, I mean, I shouldn't really be getting jobs at 72, but I'm there for a reason, and you've just got to try and help it. I mean, I get criticised when I leave clubs, how they want to change the style, but very rarely do I ever see a club that I've left change the style, if I'm honest. But I have to smile because they talk a good game.
Do you think people have become a bit obsessed with playing football in just one way in England? Have we lost sight of the fact that there's different styles of play? We don't all have to play the same way.
Yeah, I think we have a little bit. Yeah, I think it's the modern fashion, isn't it? When I looked the other night, I can't remember which game it was now. When I saw the goalkeeper play it out and get it back, who was it now? Was it Chelsea? I think it might have been Chelsea, and they come in and challenge him and. Oh no, it's Sheffield United, wasn't it? Sheffield United, Manchester United. The first goal there with Henderson, he gets it back and he wants to play, and they get a challenge and they score a goal. I just don't understand it. I still don't understand when you're losing 1-0, 2-1 in the 90th minute and you get a free kick on the halfway line. Why you take a short one and end up going back to your keeper? I just don't. I mean, that's just me. That I don't understand the logic of it. Whatever the great coaches of this world expect, there's a time and a place where you've got to put it in the box and try and score a goal.
When you look at the Championship table, Neil, obviously the three teams who were relegated from the Premier League last season are in the top three positions. Has it ever been harder to get out of the Championship than it is at the moment?
I just think they've got, because of the size of the squads, they've got the consistency really with the money, the parachute payments. They haven't really had to sell too many, have they? When you look around, they've kept most of the good players. You look at every team up there. Pookie and all the others at Norwich that they've kept, Campbell and everything. Then you go on to Watford, and you've got the captain there, and some of the Hazard and all them. Bournemouth, they kept Brooks and everybody else. It's hard to play against. They were playing in the Premier League, the similar teams last year. So it is hard. But I do think every team's beatable. And, I think we quite easily could have beaten Norwich and Bournemouth and Watford as well first game. So it's just that they've got more consistency because they've got more choice when they get injuries. Whereas, teams like ourselves, and we've got probably a fewer less choices. And because we've been in the Championship for a few years now. And so it does make it more difficult in that respect. But the challenge is there, isn't it? That's what I love. I love challenging these clubs. I'd like to play against the so-called better sides and the favourites, because that's what they're there for. They're there for to be beaten, and it's a good challenge for us all.
There was some talk recently about maybe changing the way parachute payments are distributed, and instead of them just going to three clubs, being shared out more equally among all the clubs in the Championship. Is that something that you think would be a good idea?
Well, whether I do or not, it won't happen in my career. So I think I'll let them worry about it. I mean, it sounds too much like common sense for me for the Premier League and that to take it on board. I think I can't see that happening at the moment.
And the final one for me this morning, the PFA have said that their players have come out and said they overwhelmingly support taking the knee before games. And they've also criticised the EFL for a lack of leadership. Where do you stand on this? Do you think it's right that Middlesbrough players are going to continue not taking the knee? Should it just be a personal decision of each club and each player and team?
Well, we've never put any pressure on any individual player. Britta Sombalong, who was our captain, who came to see me and told me his reasons that they didn't want to do it, and all the lads supported him. That's as far as I'm concerned, unless we are mandatory made to do something like that. The players have their own voice, and it's not that we don't look at what the racism and everything else in the country and around the world. It's not that we're not doing anything about it. I think our foundation supports loads of things behind the scenes, and I think that's where you've got to do it. Yeah, I think doing it for the sake of it, I just think the time has come where action needs to be taken, really. And, how long do we do it for? I understand the Premier League because it's being watched around the world. And I think that when young kids in Africa or Asia and all those places see the lads, they'll ask why they're doing it, So I think that's a good idea. But I think everything else should be voluntary, whether individuals.
Thank you very much, Neil. Good luck.
Thank you. Mark, BBC. Just next to you there.
Morning, Neil.
Where are you, Mark? Oh, I've got you, Mark, yeah.
Got a little.
Yeah.
Birmingham, as Mark said earlier, Birmingham, a bit of a Boro old boys club. You've got the likes of Clayton and Djukovic. But Aitor Karanka, a manager who had success at Boro and still trying to kind of replicate that at various championship clubs. Not always easy to do, is it?
Well, it's a tough league. I mean, I know whenever I've spoke to, I've always gotten really well with him, mate. And whenever I've spoke to him, we've always had a good chatter after the game. And, wherever he's been, he's done his best, and that's all he can do. I'm the same. It's a tough hell of a challenge. And like we've just talked about parachute payments. Well, neither Birmingham or Middlesbrough have had parachute payments for many years. So we are relying really on our owners to provide the funds, and it's not always possible that.
When you come up against some managers, do you see it as more of a tactical battle, and would this be one of those instances?
Well, I don't see it being a gung-ho game, put it that way. I look at both squads, and I'm sure they'll play to the capabilities, and we just hope that we can be better on the day.
They've, I think, lost the last two, conceding late, but they're quite a strong defence. So your strikers are going to have work on their hands to break through, aren't they? Yeah,
they are. That's been a struggle for us most of the season. We probably focus on ourselves not scoring many goals, and we forget about the rest of the league. Unless you're one of the top clubs, there's a lot of clubs that not scoring fluently, But I think we've contributed quite a lot. We try and attack when we can. And do whatever we can. It's the lads are putting a shift in every week, and I can't criticise them.
And you're getting more balls into the box, as he said after the Luton game. I suppose it's just a question of instilling that self-belief in the likes of Tuber and Britt.
Well, they've got to make the right runs, and they have been. With the last few, 2 or 3 of the last few goals we've scored have been the right runs. We're not going to win headers in the box. Simple as that. No good me crying over spilt milk. It's done now. We're not going to win headers. Very rarely are we going to score from a corner or a set piece. So we've got to score from other areas. And it's not that we don't work on corners. We do it every day. We've got one of the best free kick takers in Paddy McNair. But it's we just haven't got the, like the Sean Morrisons that I had at Cardiff, who, is going to get half a dozen goals every year and win your games. We haven't got that. So we have to work extra hard to get the points.
We've talked about the luxury of no midweek game, but do you think when the games are coming so thick and fast, it's more incumbent on your players to be as honest as they can about whether they're carrying knocks and whether perhaps if you can rest them, they should be rested? Because there's a lot of muscle injuries about with this very sort of packed schedule.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, I don't know a player that would be honest, if I'm honest. I think they'll all keep it to themselves. It's up to me, with my experience, really, to look at players on the training ground and see if one or two is a little bit jaded, and then make the changes. Are you with me? I look at it. I watch the players when they don't know I'm watching, if that makes sense. In the training sessions, because you've got to be careful, as you said, in this particular trying time. I've never known anything like it, and. We haven't got the luxury of losing 2 or 3 top class players. Really, we've already lost three players, sort of longish injuries, and we can't really lose any more. So we've got to hopefully get through this weekend and then have a nice few relaxing days. Personally as well, I mean, I'm not running around the pitch, but I'm quite exhausted as well. You know, I mean, I'm not getting any younger, but it's been a long, you know, very, very hard every 3 days playing a game of football and preparation and travelling and everything that's involved. It's a tough ask. I know we get paid well and the players get paid well and it's a great job to be in. But it doesn't help you when you're struggling to get to sleep at night.
Football managers don't get much time at this time of year to be reflective, but presumably after the year you've had and the country's had, you will perhaps be a little bit reflective this Christmas. I mean, how will you be spending it this Christmas Day?
Yeah, I'll be in my pyjamas hopefully all day. Although the oven's broken down at the minute, which is a bit of a. I'm hoping they can mend it because obviously we're not going to be able to cook our bird in there if not. But I'll be in my jammies all day if I can. We'll be having our dinner in the afternoon and having a nice relaxing day.
Well, good luck with that, Neil, and have a good Christmas and good luck against Birmingham as well.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Mark. Chris, it's just.
Hi, Neil.
Hi, Chris.
Just on that subject of Christmas Day, are your family coming up to join you?
No, they're already here. They've been here, you know, thankfully. They came up early doors and stayed up since. So my daughter's in Cornwall, but my son William's up here with Sharon, and we'll be spending it together. You know, they've been in the bubble now for a few weeks, and it's not easy up here. But you've just got to do what you've got to do, haven't you?
I guess I know you talked about being jaded. That probably makes it a bit easier for you when you're coming home, not to come home to an empty house.
Yeah, when last season when I came up, I mean it was probably as well that Sharon wasn't there permanently because it was such a pressurised period for us, and we were doing we were like 12 hours at the training ground trying to come up with results. But since this year, it's been great for me having Sharon there. I've got to say I'm a far better manager when she's around, even though she bullies me at times. I think it's to have your family. It's important, isn't it? You know, William cheers me up as well, so it's been great to have them in the bubble.
Do you tell her that?
No, not really. No, not really. No, I think she knows. She knows.
I was going to say, yeah, she's been with you a while now. I would imagine she probably does know. You talked about the fact that you haven't got people who, will get you, win headers in the box, that type of thing. Is that something you'll look to address in January?
Well, you've got to be careful because you've got to be careful who you bring in. Because if you bring somebody in, I mean, where would you get better centre-halves than Paddy McNair and Dale Fry? I don't know where. So do you forego what they can't do to what they can do? And that's what we've got to get on. We can't moan about it. Dale Fry's probably as good as any centre-half in the league at the moment. But we are working on him. The day that he scores his first goal, I'm hoping he runs across to me and gives me a high five.
Obviously, other people have mentioned that it's a bit of a Boro reunion this weekend, the likes of George Friend and Adam Clayton. Would you like to have kept them at the club?
Well, I thought it was the right time for both of them, and when I had conversation with them, they were both excellent, being fabulous servants to the club. And I was delighted. In fact, I rang both of them up when they signed for Birmingham and said how pleased I was for both of them because they both wanted to play on. They weren't bothered about an easy way out. They wanted to stay in the Championship if they could. And all credit to them, But from when I was here, I mean, they were pivotal in staying up last season. I know Adam didn't play that many games, but around the dressing room, he was fantastic. And, I thanked him at the end of the season for what he did. And, he could have been a bit of trouble, that type of player if he wanted to, but never once did he cause me any trouble. He was so supportive. And George, I mean, you can't get a better pro than George Friend. But, you go a long way to find anybody better than him. So, I hope we can pop in and see him tomorrow. But, you just don't know, do you?
No. You talked about foreign bosses, how sometimes, it can be a bit of a gamble. It's fair to say, I suppose, that Aita Karanka is an example where the gamble is paid off.
Well, I don't class him as a foreign, if I'm honest. I'm on about new ones coming in now. I think it's a different ballgame. There's one or two around in the Championship now, and it's interesting to see. They've got good squads. For example, the Watford and Reading. have got very, very good squads, and they should be there or thereabouts. So, you know, it's. But then you look down the line, and young lad at Barnsley's doing well as well. You know, there's a few that's doing well. All I would say is you can't. You know, is it a slight on the English managers that you can't just pick 2 or 3 managers at the moment who you would have? You know, the clubs have got to look further afield at the minute, which is sad, really.
Just last one. How are you looking for the game injury-wise? Everyone free from COVID, that type of thing?
Yeah, we're waiting, as you've heard, about Sam Morsey, and we should know in the next half an hour about that, whether he's available. But if not, it would just give somebody else an opportunity. And we've been very lucky. I think we've got Woods back today, training. And it's just another thing that I've stressed to the players how important these next few weeks are. You know, I know Christmas is a time to see your family or whatever the government are saying, but we've really got to be careful. We can't have 3 or 4 players missing 14 days. Just impossible. We just couldn't carry it. So you know, we are a little bit relying on the players being extra cautious in that.